Hello there, and welcome to John Herouvim's Prime Cuts. This is Barry Jones here, Oracle and Scholar. Now, what John's tried to do with this tape is to take a dozen-odd sacred cows of Australian public life and, essentially, butcher them. Personally, I've found the attempt very interesting, and I speak as a bit of a sacred cow myself. Few things are more sacred to a nation than its national anthem, and the recent debate about Australia's national independence and national identity has given rise to various proposals for a more contemporary anthem for Australia. Here's my personal favourite.
From the shores of Cuba Pedy to the plains of Jindabyne and the opal mines of Younger Burra Brackable. I love this white-brown country where the sun shines all the time. Yes, it shines out of the arse end of the world. We are one, but we are many. We are mums and dads and boys and girls. We love Kamal. We drink Ribena. We're just dags at the arse end of the world. Well, I've never been to Paris, where the nightlife never stops. And I've never been to Brussels or to Rome. Monte Carlo's just a biscuit, and Rio, them's me jocks. Though I still call the arse end home. Come on, boys and girls, we are one, but we are many, a melting pot of Arab, Greek and Kurd and Turks and stuff, and our Serbs and our Croatians. They love each other at the arse end of the world. Well, every Australian knows the legend of Simpson and his donkey and their blind courage carrying the dead and wounded back and forward on the battlefields of Gallipoli until the day their luck ran out. Well, many strange things are heard amid the roar of battle, but the story goes that with his dying breath, that donkey said, "Take me home and bury me at the arse end of the world." We are one, but we are many. We are mums and dads and boys and girls. We love Kamal. We drink Ribena. We're just dags at the arse end of the world. Yep, I'm happy just to be a dag down here at the arse end of the world. We are one, we are many. We are mums and dads and boys and girls. We love Kamal. We drink Ribena. We're just dags at the arse end of the world. Come on, let me hear you sing in Australia. We are one, but we are many. We are mums and dads and boys and girls. We love Kamal. We drink Ribena. Yes, we're just dags at the arse end of the world. We are one.
Yes, it's a colourful phrase, isn't it? And it signifies the isolation enjoyed by Australia's sacred cows until the 1980s, when we pulled down our fences, joined the global paddock and introduced new breeds, including the sacred cows of international competitiveness and productivity. Well, as predicted, they made straight for the sacred cow of full employment, surrounded it and gored it to death. The cost in jobs was, and remains, enormous. But future generations will honour those who paid the ultimate sacrifice that Australia might become internationally competitive.
Welcome back, and you're with Philip Marr here at the National Productivity Day Parade on this beautiful sunny day in this Jubilee year of the Federal Banana Republic of Australia. It's 32 degrees at the moment here in Coffs Harbour, home of the Big Banana and capital of the Greater Eastern Free Trade Zone. And gosh, hasn't the crowd been enthusiastic, greeting the veterans of economic restructuring as their parade makes its way down the main street. Of course, many of the veterans of the RSL, the Redundant Staff League, up bright and early this morning to attend the traditional dawn service at the Shrine of Retrenchment. Veterans from the former Victoria marching past now, led by the few surviving holders of the Victoria Cross. And some information on my program screen here. The Victoria Cross was awarded to all public servants who received a package in the Kennett government way back in the 1990s. Mr. Kennett served only one term of office in Victoria and was the first politician in Australia to be assassinated. So there you go, something for the history buffs. Well, we've seen some terrific floats and presentations here so far this morning, haven't we? The parade was led by the textile veterans, of course, one of the first industries to be restructured, along with clothing and footwear. Industries still to come later in the parade include transport, manufacturing, paper, glass, computers, whole list of them here. And, of course, a favourite with the kiddies, the farmers. Here's an interesting fact. 50 years ago, most Australian beef was sold and eaten here in Australia. It says here in those days only vegetarians ate meat substitutes. Fancy that. The telecom veterans now beginning their march past, and gosh, they're stretched out there as far as the eye can see. Quite a number of international visitors this year too, including the Queen Mother, bless her, 147 years old and still looking radiant there in her special apparatus. And if I'm not mistaken, still breathing. Isn't she gorgeous? Telecom veterans still marching by. Of course, many telecom and other veterans give lectures and tours at various Job World museums, not only here in Eastern Australia, but also in the West, the South and the Indonesian sector, all over the country, as a matter of fact. Always a great day out for the family at Job World, where people of all ages can take a step back in time for a first-hand experience of what it was like in the olden days, when there were nearly as many jobs as there were people. Oh, hello, it's the fireworks. Oh, and what a pity, isn't it, that the organisers forgot you can't see fireworks in daylight. Still, I'm told if people squint their eyes and look very closely, they can just see the fireworks spelling out clever country. There's the end of the telecom section coming up now, and you can hear the applause rising as this huge Productivity Day crowd welcomes the iron and steel veterans, representing the 10,000 men and women who paid the ultimate price on the sacking fields of Newcastle, Port Kembla and Whyalla in the winter of 2022. The people of the former steel-producing district were only kept alive during that winter thanks to a generous aid package from Russia. Coming up to 11 a.m, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, 2051, and silence falls for the national anthem.
The sacred cow, of course, is a notion that originated overseas, and a direct equivalent has yet to emerge in Australia. Nevertheless, we have developed a creature with three of the principal attributes of the sacred cow. It's larger than life, it's unfathomable, and it's female.
Senator Bishop, welcome to the program.
The leadership is not an issue. Dr. Hewson is the leader. He is ahead in the polls. He has my full support. Let me finish. My only wish is to see a coalition government in Canberra. And
Senator...
I've taught my parrot to say that too.
So if it's not personal ambition, Why are you after a lower house seat?
My concern for the Australian people is much greater than any personal ambition. My concern for Australia is what drives me. Let me finish. Everything I do for Australia. This morning, I got up for Australia, I showered and shaved for Australia.
Senator Bishop.
Then I had 2 slices of toast, and even though my preferred breakfast spread is Nutella,
Senator.
I had Vegemite for Australia.
Of course. But will you rule out a leadership challenge between now and the next election?
The leadership is not an issue. You're not listening. John has my full support. John is the leader. Dear, dear John.
So you won't rule out a challenge for the
Look,
leader?
I can't say that I won't, so I won't say that I won't. If I could say that I won't, I would say that I won't, but I can't, so I won't.
But Senator, you can say it. You can say, I won't challenge Dr. Hewson before the next election.
Look, this is all hypothetical. Who can say anything for sure? Will I eat South Australia? Will I grow a beard? Will I drink a glass of my own urine? I can't say.
Perhaps not, but you can say, I won't challenge Dr. Hewson before the next election. I mean, your ambitions are well known, so surely the
I
onus
have
is
only
on...
one ambition, I've told you, and that is to serve Australia and the Australian people. Let me finish. I'm fiercely Australian, ferociously Australian.
All right, Senator,
I'm
let's
rabidly,
talk about...
toxically
Senator, could we...
Australian. If you look under my hair, you'll find the Australian flag tattooed on my scalp. John is the leader. John is doing well. John is ahead in the polls.
Fine, then
See
let me...
John lead. Lead, John, lead.
Let me ask you about your philosophy of government, your policies, your views on
Look,
various...
I have very strong views.
Good. Well, what are they?
I told you, they're very strong. I'm a firm believer.
Yes, but in what?
In very strong views. Very, 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 very,
Senator,
very,
there's
very,
a fairly
very, very,
strong
very,
and
very,
widespread
very...
view that you're an entertaining performer, but not much of a thinker. Why do you think commentators describe you as having no ideas?
I have no idea, but it's not good enough. Let me finish. These people should pull their socks up. I have plenty of ideas. What about the Gundagai monorail? That was my idea. The restaurant on top of the Lucas Heights reactor? That was another one, mine.
Yes, I think people mean policy ideas. For instance, Senator, what's your policy on welfare?
I'm on the record as saying that voluntary agencies do that sort of thing much better than the bureaucrats.
What about education?
Again, voluntary agencies
Public
can do that much
transport,
better. Look,
water
here
supply,
too, I believe
justice,
that voluntary agencies can do
defence.
that sort of thing much better than bureaucrats.
Senator, I've just described some of the most basic functions of government.
Yes, so you have, and I'm saying to you that government is best left to voluntary agencies. Government is fine, but that doesn't mean we have to have bureaucrats.
Senator Bishop, you can't have government without bureaucrats.
Yes, and you can thank Marbo for that.
What?
You asked for policies, now I'm telling you. The unions are holding this country to ransom. Let me finish. Pay TV, childcare, waterfront reform, adoption on demand. These are issues, you know.
Yes.
The national debt won't just go away. No, sirree. I'm all for the environment. I think air is very important, and water, and we mustn't confuse the two.
Senator Bishop, are you all right?
Yes, I am all right, but I'm not indestructible. People think I am, but that's nonsense. One decent-sized lump of kryptonite and I'm a goner. Let me finish. What about the Gillespie children, The Gillespie children, The Gillespie children, The Gillespie children are the backbone of this country. So is the wine industry. So is privacy. I feel this very strongly.
But you don't believe in affirmative action for women, do you?
No, I don't. The real business of life is about getting out there and getting on with it. I didn't get to where I am today by being a woman, and neither did you. You're a woman, you should know that. Let me finish. The Prime Minister won the last election by lying, you know. Well, two can play that game. Let me finish.
Senator,
Don't be fooled by Labor's rhetoric, be fooled by mine.
Senator, I'd love to let you finish, but I'm afraid no radio program has that much time.
I got a letter from Queen Elizabeth, you know, asking me to take over. She said if I go to Ayers Rock and climb to the top, I'll find the magic curling wand.
Of course, no amount of media exposure in and of itself can, as it were, catapult someone into the leadership of a political party. I mean, otherwise Nolene Doniher would have led the Liberals for most of 1992. No, to get to the top and stay there in the institution of Parliament, the cardinal prerequisite is having the numbers. Now, normally, getting the numbers is necessary in order to seize or retain power for oneself, one's faction or one's party. However, and I find this ceaselessly fascinating, with some people, getting the numbers can itself become a sacred cow.
Mr. Brown, welcome to the program.
Yes, thank you.
Politically speaking, you grew up with the Prime Minister, didn't you?
Yes, in the New South Wales Labor Party. We grew up together, we threw up together. We had a motto.
All for one and one for all?
Get your end in, get your friend in.
Brereton and Keating did some of their earliest political deals together, didn't they?
Oh, we did many deals, yes. Big deals, small deals, watertight deals, 50% polyester deals.
Yes, indeed.
Double deals.
Along with Graham Richardson.
Richo.
Yes, Richo.
Richo.
Yes, and Leo Macleay and others. You all came up together in the New South Wales Right.
Yes, when we started off, we had only one vote each at the local branch. There was me, Paul, Richo, Leo, Attila, Squizzy, Chopper, Scruffy and Phil.
No nickname for Phil?
It was short for filthy.
You all sound a bit like heavies.
No, not heavies, just ordinary blokes. Bouncers, beekeepers, auctioneers, toe-cut chiropodists. Young fellas having a bit of innocent fun while assiduously weaving intricate webs of power, patronage and blind obedience.
Just your average teenagers, really. Mr. Brereton, many people, and that includes people in your own party...
No, hang on. It's not my party.
No, I meant...
It's Paul's party.
Yeah, what I'm saying is...
That's very, very important. If he hears I've been calling it my party, I get a visit from Jimmy the Face. And if you know Jimmy the Face...
Okay, if many people inside and outside Paul's party are concerned that yourself and Mr. Keating and Senator Richardson...
Richo.
Yes, Richo.
Richo, legend.
Yes, concerned that you blokes get your personal jollies out of wheeling and dealing for its own sake, and that your style is replacing policy and principle with deals.
Look, these deals aren't being done under cover of night at Dead Man's Wharf. They're done in broad daylight over lunch at Dead Man's Bistro opposite the High Court. There's nothing sinister. You can read about it in the papers.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Instead of real debate and principled argument and public discussion, the coverage amounts to an update of the day's manoeuvring. I mean, where do right and wrong fit into all this bargaining and negotiating?
Right and wrong, never heard of them. Are they lobbyists?
Have you heard of good and bad?
Oh, might know bad. Is he on the federal executive? Where's his power base? Find out what he wants.
Minister, can't you see that this attitude of pragmatism and making deals can go too far? That
Look, it's all part of modernising Australia. We're putting world's best practice deal-making procedures in place. In fact, we're going to establish a ministry of deals.
Oh, really? When will that be?
As soon as we can stitch the deal up with the unions. Imagine it, Marlene. The politics of the future. No emotion, no demonstrations, just meetings of skilled negotiators, people with media know-how, pragmatic people, in and of the system.
Yes.
We're well on the way to that already, you know.
Yes.
Environment problem? Our people talk to the Conservation Foundation, maybe the forestry industry. Welfare problem? ACOS. Sex problem? Bettina Arndt and a conscience vote. Koori problem? Well, that's pretty much under control. See? All runs very smoothly.
Except for the two Green senators.
Yes. Two Green senators sitting on a wall. And if one Green senator should... Christabel Chamarette, Dee Margetts, why not Senator Shirley MacLaine? You see, that's what happens when people who don't know how to do deals get involved in politics. They run around like a bull in a parliamentary dining room, panicking and shouting about principle and everything just feeling wrong. About as useful as a snake with legs. Now, if Richo had got to them instead of Gareth Evans, he could have talked them into anything. He used to be a Green senator, Richo.
Mr. Brereton, I'm afraid we're out of time.
No, I like this. Let's keep talking.
No, I'm afraid we can't.
5 minutes more.
No, sorry,
just
it's
another
not-
3
no,
minutes.
you don't
A minute and
understand.
a half and I'll set you up as secretary of the Roof Tilers Union.
Sorry, no deal.
You're a tough cookie.
Minister, thank you.
Hey, you want a job?
Australian business has an enormous fat arsenal of commercial weaponry, including the claims and counterclaims made in advertising. Now, while advertising itself is a sacred cow, the Trade Practices Commission can take action against particular advertisements. You probably recall the TPC ordering a telecom commercial withdrawn after finding it made misleading claims about its competitor Optus. It's reassuring, isn't it, to know that the necessary regulatory mechanisms exist to protect Australians from misleading advertising.
My name's Macananabani, Phil Macananabani. On the TPC's Truth in Advertising squad, I'm the big cheese. And I'm not talking about a Dutch tourist attraction. You know the toothbrush ad? I've seen the dentist's face. I'm paid to make sure commercials don't misinform people. When I count the beans in a cup of Nescafe, there better be 43. Truth in Advertising. It's a tough caper. It gives me backache, rheumatic and muscular pain. I take menthoids. MEN-TH. You know the rest? Of course you do. That's the law of the jingle. I knew there was something fishy about the telecom ad. It's my business to know. I called up my contacts at the Federation of Australian Commercial Television Stations. Facts. Most of them are decent citizens. Rather saw their own head off than mislead the public. Facts. Don't know who named them that. My hunch? It was the same customer who named my partner Joy. Joy's mercurial, contrary. Hold out a packet of CCs, she'll say no. She won't wear computer socks without running a virus check. When pain persists, she doesn't do anything. She's all jangled nerves and electrostatic energy, a scratchy voice and a smile that could melt a heart of Decrabond. Joybell Anna Chandler. Maybe one day, Joybell Anna McAnanavani. But that's another story. Joy's the extremist on the Truth in Advertising squad. She wants us to tackle stereotypes, take on the superficial, fleeting, emotionally charged images that generate reactionary typecasting. I tell her the TV news is out of our jurisdiction. My first job with Joy was on a stakeout. We'd had a tip-off that the paddle pop lion was really just a bloke in a suit. Now Joy's the bot in charge of the Telecom Optus files. They've been building, week by week, into a complete handsomely bound reference library. I copied down the address of the Telecom gang's hangout. It was a bar in the corporate end of town. Half an hour later, we were there. The Advertiser's Arms. We walked straight in. We weren't the first. The Telecom boys were already there. I sent Joy to cover the back, then walked across and told the man behind the drink behind the bar that a hard-earned thirst needs a big cold beer, and he knew the rest. And then, in walked trouble in a Wonder Bra. Hubba bubba, and I'm not talking bubblegum. She looked good enough to eat. A couple of serving suggestions flashed into my head. She showed me her McLeans, then turned her back and made straight for the telecom table. A little voice in my head said, she uses fibre trim. She'd been poured into her clothes like soup in a cup. Her dress was so tight I could see her bikini briefs riding up. I was thinking of offering her my ruler when... My head exploded into a huge range of colours and designs from only $1 a metre. I don't know what they hit me with, but it sure wasn't a Samboy chip. When I came to, I felt weak. I felt groggy. I felt like chicken tonight. Miss Wonder jugs had vamoosed, but Joy had the Telecom boys bailed up. I read them their rights as advertisers. You have the right to carry out rationally planned appeals to our irrational side. You have the right to profit from psychological manipulation of the human needs for acceptance, admiration, love, respect, and reassurance. The right to harness any and all private emotions, fear, greed, lust, guilt, to sell people your product. You have the right to invent new needs, to create new demands, to bombard the population with commodities, lifestyles and expectations that recede further and further beyond the reach of ordinary people. But mister, you overstate the price of an Optus call to London and you've got to answer to the Trade Practices Commission. Another case closed. I put my arm around Joy and walked her home. She was wearing no knickers. Romance. It's a natural part of life, like sugar and bull ants. I felt Joy's body against mine. I got that rising feeling, and I don't mean schweppervescence. I thought, Phil, you're a lucky McAnanavani. My eyes scanned the night sky. Pepsi, Sony, Rita the Eater. Misleading advertising. You're soaking in it.
The tourist industry, of course, is now a sacred cow of monumental proportions, leaving its mark all across the country. Not long ago, a campaign was undertaken to encourage Japanese who've already visited Australia to visit again. The campaign is called Celebrate Australia, and its message is that there's more to see here than koala bears and beaches. Perhaps ironically then, the person heading the campaign is artist Ken Doan.
Ken Doan, welcome to the program.
You people have to mention the koalas, don't you?
Sorry, Ken, tell us about the Celebrate Australia exercise.
200,000 people saw my most recent exhibition in Japan, my 12th there, incidentally, and there wasn't a single koala in it. But no, you
It
people...
won't happen again. Ken, how's the
I'm
Celebrate...
commercially successful, okay? Very, very successful. Is that such a crime?
Not at all. Please, I didn't mean to make you defensive.
I'm not defensive, I'm commercially successful.
Ken...
Leonardo da Vinci had money, changed his tights 3 times
Ken...
a day and never wore the same pair twice. Bellini used to breakfast with the Pope.
Yes. Ken-
Monet lived like King Farouk. Salvador Dali never went short of a fee.
Ken, could we
Picasso, Brett Whiteley. Just
talk about
because
this-
someone's comfortable materially doesn't mean they
Ken,
can't...
do you think you are a little defensive? Maybe because critics point to your 20 years in advertising and its influence.
Oh, now it's the advertising thing. Let's just deal with that. I left advertising, and I'm not being defensive. I left advertising 12 years ago. I locked myself away in a tiny room in North Sydney, not speaking to anybody, just painting every single day.
Really? How long did that last?
A week and a half in this tiny, tiny room. The fridge took up most of the space.
Is that where you painted your first koalas?
There you go again.
I'm sorry, it slipped out. Ken, can we talk about the Celebrate Australia campaign now?
Yes, okay. It's a very important undertaking. It's important culturally, it's important economically, and I was honoured to be asked to lead it. The major thing I'm doing is 2 paintings, both about 13 metres long, and that's big pictures, and they're going into the most stunning space in a beautiful building. And
Do you mind if I just get this knot out of my shoelace?
no, go ahead. A beautiful building in Tokyo designed by Azemina Gucci, a Japanese sculptor who unfortunately died. They've never allowed anybody to work on these walls before, so why should I be defensive? I've had 44 solo exhibitions, and don't you make that joke about getting complimentary sunglasses with the ticket.
Mind if I just count these coins? Then I can take them to the bank.
Bloody koalas. I've done paintings about Japanese haiku poetry, which I find very, very interesting. And that's about as pure as art gets, you know.
90, 95, $1. Ken, why do you think you've been more readily accepted as a serious artist in Japan than in your own country?
That's a very good question. The Japanese, you see, are a very visually sophisticated group of people dealing with a language that's a series of small pictures. What's that?
Just chopping some vegetables. Soup tonight.
Oh, you see, what the so-called art critics here can't or won't understand is that I choose to paint in a simple style. I can do the other stuff. I can do paintings where the eyes follow you around the room. I can...
Even koalas' eyes?
See, there you go again.
Sorry.
I get letters from all over the world, you know. Ken, they say, I don't know much about art, but I love your work.
This is riveting.
Oh, thank you.
No, I mean this here. I've got a bit of riveting to do. Assembling a kit home for my sister. But look, you go ahead.
I mean, of course I can see the romantic appeal of a bloke like Van Gogh. It's a great story. Worked his whole life, couldn't sell a thing, cut off his ear, went mad, all that stuff. So they wrote songs about him. But if you're a success in your own lifestyle, oh, well, there's no song.
Starry, starry tea towel, paint your wallet green and gold. 50 more consignments sold of Kendone coffee mugs and oven mitts that do not cover fits. Koala Bear and Harbor Bridge, a Kendone magnet for my fridge in colors of my native Aussie land. Now I understand how your merchandise ability undermines your credibility. The critics only see your wealth and they won't take you as seriously as you take yourself. No, they'll never love you. Your skies are much too blue. So stop taking it so hard that you can't be avant-garde and keep churning out that gorgeous stuff you do. And be jolly thankful, Kenny. This world was tailor-made for two-eared artists just like you.
Well, that's the end of side A, but just before you turn the tape over, I thought I might be permitted to tell a little joke of my own. It goes like this. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, then where in heck were the conservationists? Well, I tell you, that one slays them at the Skeptics Association. Get it? Where were the conservationists? Works equally well if you say, where was Peter Garrett or perhaps Bob Brown? Some years before the whole of Asia was declared a sacred cow here, Japan already enjoyed that status. As long as the Japanese economy continued its seemingly unstoppable expansion, no one seemed to care that the emperor had no clothes. It was an entirely different matter, however, when the emperor had a recession.
Look, I don't want to start a panic, but... Japan's in recession! Japan's in recession! Oh my God! Japan's in recession! Oh, property values are down, the share market's depressed. Last weekend, a Japanese fisherman picked up the Sony Corporation for 50 yen at a garage sale in Hokkaido. Oh, I knew it couldn't last. Any economy that's got more people than sheep is asking for trouble. What are we going to do with all the stranded Japanese tourists? Their life savings lost, evading the immigration authorities, herds of feral Japanese multiplying and stampeding through the top end, threatening the Australian beef industry? God, how could it happen? Japan, the place where the whole population gets up in the morning singing, "Hi ho, it's off to work we go." Ingenious, industrious Japan, ceaselessly producing and inventing more and more things. And they built it all up from nothing. What did they have, eh? Apart from a post-war economy coordinated and underwritten by the United States along with the country's defence, and the hyper-growth from supplying and servicing and equipping the Americans in Korea and Vietnam, and a close-knit brotherhood of immensely powerful financial and manufacturing conglomerates with constitutionally guaranteed freedom from trade union obstruction, and a population subordinated to national economic goals arrived at by a minuscule elite. Other than that, what did the Japanese have? Bugger all. It was an economic miracle. Japan, our mighty northern neighbour. Here at the bustling export warehouse of the Mixo Corporation, radios smaller than a loaf of bread are packed for export. What will they think of next? In the clean, modern Mixo Corporation canteen, Ishiro shares a nourishing meal with other workers during his lunch minute. And it doesn't cost him a thing. In fact, Mixo Corporation provides Ishiro with everything from work clothes and medical care to scenic outings and his expectations of life. Lucky Ishiro. Yes, we have much to learn from the resourceful giant to our north. But don't take my word for it. Ask Charlie from Changi. G'day, Charlie. Yes, Charlie's overcome his fear of pointy bits of bamboo, and now he says, "Japan's my mate." Golden days, now behind us because Japan's in recession. Oh, groan. Shouldn't we have a royal commission or hold a telethon or something? Or use all that wool we've got to knit them a recovery? How could they go and have a recession on us after all Bob Hawke did for them? Bob, don't mention the war hawk. If anyone so much as suggested that the giant lizards in Japanese monster movies were a tad implausible, Bob would burst into tears of rage and call them filthy racists. Ask a question about drift netting or the multifunction polis, Hawkey'd come down on you like a ton of quislings. How can they do it to us after we banned all those miniseries with Robert Mitchum in them because Japan was always the baddie? After all the railways we've built together. And you know what'll happen next? Once the media twigs that Japan's on the slide, they'll turn, just like they did on poor Ferdinand Marcos. Hardly a whisper of condemnation for years, then all of a sudden, oh, Marcos, dictator, swindler, stole billions, well-known fact. You watch, they'll have a field day, features in the weekend papers. The human cost of the Japanese miracle. How most workers in Japan have always been poorly paid. Contract workers, part-time workers, out workers. Oh yeah, knew it all along. Hello, boys and girls. Remember me? I'm from the 80s, when even a bald economist could be a TV star. Bald, bald, bald. Today's story is about wicked Japan and what an awful place it's always been. Horribly polluted and backward, except for the shiny bits they kept making us look at. Look, look, look. Look at our economy. But Japan wasn't just an economy. It was a society, and not a very nice one. Every citizen was part of a national registration system. There were 12 different ways of saying you, depending on the status of the other person, and there were 133 different kinds of institutionalised hypocrisy, all with their own names. And Japanese politics were corrupt. Smelly, smelly, smelly. And when workers went on strike, they were attacked by criminal gangs, and the police didn't do anything, and education was based on rote learning, and women had no rights. Geisha, geisha, geisha. So all the free countries of the world became angry at Japan's Prime Minister, and they sent President George Bush over to vomit on him, and Japan had a big recession. And it served them right because their economy had always been bureaucratic and protectionist and planned by the government. bad, bad, bad. The Japanese economic miracle. It's a big thing when you look into it.
Australia, of course, has its own economic miracle in the Prices and Incomes Accord between the Federal Labor Government and the Australian Council of Trade Unions. In the industrial relations paddock, the accord is the new cow on the block, replacing the erstwhile sacred cows of arbitration, conciliation and automatic quarterly wage adjustments. These days, of course, wage rises are neither quarterly nor automatic. They are the outcome of complex and protracted accord processes undertaken by highly qualified economic specialists. One such specialist is the ACTU President, Martin Ferguson.
Mr Ferguson, thanks for your time.
Good afternoon.
When can workers expect the $8?
Now, let's be honest. The reality is the ACTU Executive and the Federal Government clearly indicated the position that those workers unable to reach an enterprise agreement will be entitled to apply for the safety net payment.
Yes, but in the meantime, a quarter of Australian families are trying to get by on less than $25,000 a year. If we had a coalition government in Canberra, the ACTU would be organising a coordinated wage campaign.
No, we wouldn't.
You seem very definite about that.
Yes, because there's no one on the ACTU Executive who remembers how to organise a coordinated wage campaign.
How much do you earn, Mr Ferguson?
Let's be honest, let's be clear, I'm not telling.
OK, let's forget wages.
Done.
Mr Ferguson, what is the ACTU doing about unemployment?
Let's be honest, the ACTU Executive and the Federal Government
Mr Ferguson, please, it becomes
and
tedious.
individual affiliates have an ongoing commitment to a range of options in association with a number of policy positions.
They're stock answers, Mr Ferguson.
These include appropriate retraining programs and other labour market programs
Some of your critics would argue...
to open up future employment opportunities.
would argue that this is all just words.
Not just words, I get them in the right order as well.
Mr Ferguson, for 10 years now, the ACTU Executive
and the Federal Government,
yes, we're not forgetting them, have held down wages in order to encourage investment. But the investment never comes. When can low-income workers expect some relief?
Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Let's be really, really clear. Wage and salary justice is fundamental. Fundamental.
Mr Ferguson...
Hang on. Just want to say it once more. Fundamental.
What about full employment? Is that fundamental too?
The ACTU Executive, the entire trade union movement and the Federal Government have established a working party to consider appropriate severance packages and further ongoing assistance.
350,000 long-term unemployed, Mr Ferguson. 1 million officially out of work. Thousands more facing retrenchment in offices, factories, the Commonwealth Bank, transport, education, manufacturing...
The ACTU Executive and the Federal Government...
What are these people going to do, Mr Ferguson? Who speaks for them? Where do they look for leadership?
In the event of a leadership emerging, the ACTU Executive and the Federal Government will examine the position at that time and its implications for the accord and employment opportunities.
Mr Ferguson.
Peter Piper picked a peck
Mr
of
Ferguson.
seashells.
Mr Ferguson, is there a tablet or something I should get you?
I'm not the fig plucker, I'm the fig pluckers.
Mr Ferguson.
Good evening.
What's the ACTU's position on the Republican issue?
The ACTU Executive and the Federal Government...
No, not the Federal Government. What's the union position?
Let's be honest. The ACTU Executive and the Federal
Mr
Government...
Mr Ferguson, read any good books lately?
The ACTU Executive and the Federal Government...
What did you have for lunch today?
The ACTU Executive...
What's your favourite song?
The ACTU... Oh, your mama don't dance and your daddy don't rock and roll.
Mr Ferguson, thank you.
It's been a pleasure to speak on behalf of the workers, the exploited and all toiling people.
That's easy to say, Mr Ferguson.
Oh, not for me.
2, 3, 4. Enterprise bargaining forever. Wage restraint forever. Jobs on committees forever. And a brand new union come.
More than 200 years ago, the Aboriginal sacred cow of land locked horns with the European sacred cow, development. Though gored and savaged to within an inch of its life, the Koori protagonist refused to give up the ghost, until finally in 1992, the High Court handed down a judgment that knocked development onto the back hoof, as it were. This was, of course, the historic native title, or Mabo decision, which produced a tangle of political, cultural and juridical complexities. To unravel these complexities requires someone with an enormous breadth of knowledge and unimpeachable professional detachment. Instead, however, let's have a listen to this bloke.
Yes, thank you so much. Hello there. Blamey here. Professor Morris Blamey. I am an historian. Indeed, I am the very model of a right-wing intellectual. BAMA PhD, and when I get drunk I fall A over T. And what a marvellous pleasure it is to once again address the Australian Chamber of Miners and Rednecks, my kind of people. Now, what I propose to do is examine, dissect, analyse, and by sheer force of erudition and logic, by an exertion of mind over Marbo, as it were, refute and finally bury the views of our opponents. That should take, 2 or 3 minutes, and then we can all retire to drink cognac, smoke huge cigars, and talk about all the money we've got and how much we deserve it. Money. I am not a racist. Indeed, I happen to be of the belief that Lionel Rose is one of the finest blues trumpeters this country has ever produced. No, this Marbo business isn't about race or colour, is it? No. No, it's about history. And when it comes to history, I'm proud to say I'm far from the Manning crowd. So, what does history teach us? It teaches that the Maori of New Zealand and the American Red Indians, with whom the British signed treaties, were peoples of warlike disposition, while our own worthy Stone Age Aboriginals were not. True, they resisted, but there was no warrior culture, and today there is no treaty. Are we to blame for this too? Is it our fault that the Aboriginites weren't more bloodthirsty? Perhaps if they'd thought to saddle up the big red roos and ride around in circles going, well, they might have a treaty now. Treaty now. Or at least a theme park. So much for the issue of a treaty. Now, as I established in my seminal work, The Tyranny of Blamey, the Australian Aboriginodes were not a modern culture. They did not develop a wheeled cart, they did not cultivate the land, and so impoverished were their tribal tongues that they had no word for patio. The Aborigine, and I include in this both Aborigiblokes and Aboriginellas, did not invent so much as a cambric curling wand. And I do not accept the excuse that they did, but there was nowhere in the bush to plug it in. Indeed, as is well known, every invention of any significance ever was thought up by Europeans. The hatchback sedan, Chinese checkers, even the pyramids. Oh, the labour was Egyptian, but the architects were an English firm. English. Now to the legal position. We're all aware, of course, that to make a successful claim under the very strict criteria actually established by the highest court in Australia, and I'm not talking about Richard, that one must prove continuous, uninterrupted, traditional occupation of the land since before white settlement. And that's no mean feat. No, it's not the amount of land at issue that's at issue, it's the principle. An ancient and venerable principle of the common law, findus quippus, lusus vipus. And I say this with the greatest respect. Some of my best friends are controversial female black Sydney magistrate Pat O'Shane. In any event, the Aboriginites receive many benefits from white society, not the least of which are many social security benefits. I mean, there's Sir Peter Abel sitting there. He recently lost his job at TNT, but he's too proud to go on the dole. Gentlemen, no one can deny that the past 200 years have seen the occurrence of regrettable occurrences. There was great ignorance, there was cruelty and violence, and our side wasn't blameless either. Everyone makes mistakes, even High Court judges. Let us then not dwell on the past. Let us look to the future. So, gentlemen, miners, rednecks, charge your glasses. Start your jackhammers.
And, in the immortal words of Sir Arby Parbo, let's go mining! Only an infinitesimal minority of Australians ever become sacred cows, and it's as rare again to attain this status in one's own lifetime. The late Professor Manning Clark did just that. Some argue that Clark was born sacred, some say he became sacred, and others believe he had sacredness thrust upon him. Then, of course, there are those who insist it was all just a trick, among them the Professor's former publisher.
Peter Ryan, welcome.
Welcome or not, I'm here and I'm not here to win a popularity contest. I call them as I see them. I say my piece. That's what I'm famous for.
Famous?
Famous-ish.
You were Manning Clark's publisher for 30-odd years.
Yes, director of Melbourne University Press, 3 decades, during which I called them as I saw them. Called a spade a spade. That's what I'm like.
So why did you wait until more than 2 years after his death to call Manning Clark a fraud?
No, you don't. Now you're just quoting what I said. Look, I give a damn. Shame, Manning, shame. I'll say it publicly. I'm not just a publisher. I'm a polemicist, a commentator. I've edited an encyclopedia about New Guinea.
Yes. Peter Ryan, why are you publicly criticising Manning Clark's work and personal character?
Look, dear, I've been publicly criticising people's work and personal character for years. It's a sideline of mine. I said I'm not just a publisher. I've written a novel about my experiences as a commando in New Guinea, and that novel was on the reading list at Melbourne Boys Grammar 20 years ago, and I'm not apologising for that either. I had my own column in the Saturday Age, you know. It was called As I Please. Manning Clark used to read it. Let me finish. I'm actually doing this for Manning's own good, you know. He and I were very close. We were roistering companions. I say that in the article.
Yes.
Roistering companions. Good word, isn't it? Roister. Lord, how we roisted.
Oh. Mr. Ryan?
Not much roistering behind the lines in New Guinea, I can tell you.
No, I imagine not.
Have you read my biography of Sir Edmund Barry? I've written a biography of Sir Edmund Barry. I'm quite a man of letters, you know.
Yes. Mr. Ryan, for those who haven't read your article, could you explain what you see as the shortcomings of Manning Clark's history?
Yes, very well. First, appalling ignorance. The man knew almost nothing about New Guinea. Number 2, his style. Have you read his prose? God, where was his editor?
You were his editor.
The most prolix, verbose, long-winded, authorially garrulous, pretentious, meandering, verbose...
You said verbose.
Repetitive, circumlocucious, peripatetic, polysyllabic, sesquipedalian. Number 3, he didn't check his facts, and number 4, he was politically biased. He didn't like Menzies. You can tell, just read the books. History should be objective. Objective and chockers with facts all checked and corrected and so on.
Perhaps by an editor.
What?
Nothing. As a man of letters, Mr. Ryan, surely you know that there's no such thing as objective history. I mean, which facts about Menzies? Manning Clark said that the past was a great attic of pictures from which we select the relevant ones and put them on our wall.
Yes, and then if it's Menzies' picture, you draw a moustache on it. What about the time Manning got drunk in 1947 and wanted to beat up the Vice-Chancellor?
Well, frankly, it's very old news, as are the professor's reputation for factual inaccuracies, biblical language, and a very personal vision of what Australia is and how it got to be that way. And that was Manning Clark.
He was drunk in 1948 as well.
In fact, it's such old news that people are asking why you've gone to the effort of writing thousands of words if you're not going to tell us anything new.
Oh, you want new, do you? It's new you want. All right, in the choir at school, Manning Clark was just miming.
No,
and when he was professor at the ANU, he used to turn on the gas first and only then look for the matches. That's bloody
Mr.
dangerous.
Ryan,
and I can't prove this, but a bloke who was in New Guinea with me reckons Manning slept with Michael Jackson.
You sound very bitter. In your article, too.
Oh, bitter. Bitter. Why should I be bitter? Just because I toiled night after night, year after year, deciphering that shocking handwriting, my spectacles getting progressively thicker, choosing illustrations for the covers, lunching with bookshop owners. God, and who gets the credit? The author.
Yes.
Always it's the author.
Yes, it's very unfair. Mr. Ryan, this wouldn't all be somehow connected with politics, would it?
Oh, no, you don't. I'm no politician. I'm too straight, too direct, too frank and fearless.
Is this political?
No comment.
In fact, isn't written history always just the concerns of the present, dressed up in period costume?
Look, I'm just a participant in a public debate about our history.
But in your article, you say Manning Clark's history only survives because it's a security blanket for the Woodstock and Vietnam generation.
That's right.
Surely that's a political statement.
Well, maybe it is. But listen, don't you badger me with your unanswerable arguments. I was wounded in the war.
Yes, I'm sure.
27 times.
27?
Yep, shot myself in the foot 27 times.
And now this article equal makes 28.
What?
I said we have to stop now. It's getting late. Mr. Ryan, thanks for your time.
Not at all. Look, I couldn't interest you in some tickets to Peter Ryan the musical, could I? I play Menzies, P.P. McGuinness plays the Founding Fathers, and Peter Reid...
The prototype of all sacred cows, of course, is the actual sacred cow of India, whose flesh the devout Hindu is forbidden to consume, proving again that one person's meat is another person's deity. In Australia, no such prohibitions apply. Instead, we enjoy a huge range of culinary styles, among which Meals on Wheels stands as the last bastion of Anglo cuisine.
Good afternoon and yasas to you all. This is Professor Haralam Boskadzi Papathanasiou saying if you eat a souvlaki and drive, you're a bloody idiot. Exactly how deeply is Australia committed to multiculturalism as a policy? This question is being put to the test by the changing composition of Australia's elderly, which now includes substantial numbers of elderly ethnic people. As Director of Catering Services for the Office of Multicultural Cuisine, or OMC, I am proud that the Australia of the 1990s is a place with Mexican corn chips and frozen focaccia in its supermarkets. Every day in Australia's bustling cities, office workers lunch on Greek spanakopita, American hot dogs, Indian curry puffs, and, for the health-conscious, alfalfa. This is a phenomenally rapid change when we consider that 1 generation ago, the only qualification Australian caterers needed was the ability to tell men from women so they knew who got the beef and who got the chicken. Australian eating habits have adapted with remarkable rapidity to the cornucopia of cuisines brought here by successive wives of immigrants. Unfortunately, some local government organizations have been particularly resistant to this adaptation. It's true that Meals on Wheels and similar services are cost efficient. The food is broiled, then frozen, then thawed, steamed, and delivered, resulting in the Anglo-Australian version of al dente, or what many people call hospital food. Before Australia can be regarded as a truly tolerant multicultural nation like Greece, there are certain fundamental culinary reforms which will have to be put in place, especially in monocultural enclaves such as Meals on Wheels. OMC is seeking a federal government subsidy to retrain the chefs among local government providers at accredited training facilities such as the Papa Giuseppe Academy, the Tabuli Brothers Institute of Dips, or my cousin Jimmy's nightclub. It has been suggested to us at OMC that we develop a single meal suited to every ethnic taste. Something with universal appeal, like a Big Mac, or perhaps a Big Macedonia belongs to Greece. Instead of 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, pickles, onions, lettuce, cheese on a sesame seed bun, it could be the ethnically impeccable balance of 2 tandoori patties, calamari, garlic sauce, hot chili, sauerkraut, and 3 veggies. Another school of thought argues that the dual requirements of nutritional value and cultural universality are satisfied by the souvlaki. Since its invention by Alcibiades the Dyspeptic during the empire of Alexander the Greek, the souvlaki has been adapted to become the kebab, the shawarma, and so on. Come in. Here's one I just ordered. The souvlaki contains the 5 basic food groups: meat, vegetables, dairy products, garlic, and pita. Polioreo. Oi, shut the door! Were you born in a tent? Food will always be a matter of taste. Different people will want to wrap their laughing gear around different things. So how anyone eats Chinese food, it's like worms. In the final analysis, attitudes have to change before menus will. This is one of the cardinal lessons of multicultural cuisine in Australia. As the old Greek saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you have to be French to eat it. There is no question that the catering providers for numerous local government bodies still cling like tinned peaches to the old ways, with the result that services such as Meals on Wheels have failed to keep pace with Australia's changing ethnic composition. Yes, it is very sad that centuries-old, deeply entrenched hostilities are not unknown here in Australia. But whatever atavistic, ancient animosities are involved, whatever the original atrocity or insult that the vegetable committed against the English, it has been punished enough. Let us hope that with the emergence of a new international culinary order, stubbornly nationalistic approaches to diet can be overcome, and all men can eat souvlaki as brothers. Until next time, this is Professor Charalambos Hadjipapathanassiou saying, see you.
Quite fittingly, the most sacred cow in this collection has been left to last, and that, of course, is the sacred cow of so-called traditional family values. People disagree, don't they, about productivity and Marbo, advertising and what have you, but there seems to be no argument about traditional family values. Somehow, nevertheless, Sydney's gay Mardi Gras has managed to penetrate mainstream consciousness with an alternative perspective on family and sexual issues. Earlier this year, upholders of traditional family values tried to stop the ABC's television coverage of the gay Mardi Gras. The attempt having failed, they decided to stage a Mardi Gras of their own. For those who missed it, here are some highlights from the coverage.
Welcome back to the straight and conventional Mardi Gras here in beautiful downtown Gospel in the outer suburbs of Brisbane, where the sun is shining and brothels are illegal. I'm Andy Normal.
And I'm Jonathan Even Normler.
Well, it's been a day of ungay non-abandon here at this inaugural celebration of obedience, complacency and self-restraint.
Yes, indeed, Andy, and a terrific crowd too, all sitting on the fence, watching the floats wind their way down the middle of the road.
Let's catch up with a few of the day's highlights.
The parade was led off by the Reader's Digest float, side by side with the Life Plan float and its motto, No Surprises.
Life Plan is tax deductible and comes with the famous 3-point recipe for respectability.
Be silent, consume, die.
Particularly well received by the spectators were the Tidiness float, with a place for everything and everything in its place, and the Regular Habits float, which arrived right on schedule.
Yes, it did, Andy, and whatever else people may say about the straight and conventional Mardi Gras, you have to admit, at least it's made the floats run on time. New arrivals among the straight and conventional today included former rock stars Sir Angry Anderson and Sir James Barnes. Sir Angry's tattoos were auctioned on the Sotheby's float during the parade to raise money for research into ex-billionaire depression syndrome.
An absolute pageant of customary costuming too, with clean summer whites and strappy sandals, blazers and business suits, a veritable field of tweed, and shirts, including starch shirts, stuffed shirts, Lacoste shirts, and of course, shirts tucked into underpants.
Keeping the customary costuming company, conservative coiffure, the only exception today being Wilson Tuckey, who arrived sporting a peacock and ostrich feather headpiece with matching boa. Business put on a bullish show for the parade, led by the Actuaries and Quantity Surveyors Marching Band and featuring a large stock exchange float.
Sadly, tragedy struck the business section shortly after lunch when the stock exchange float crashed, the wheels fell off the private enterprise float, and the famous business confidence float, built entirely of eggshells, refused to start, then fell to pieces.
The Employers Federation has issued a statement blaming the unions.
Okie dokie, some highlights there from today's parade. And now you're back live with Andy Normal
and Jonathan Even Normler at the straight and conventional Mardi Gras.
Oh, and listen to that. Yes, here come the hypocrites.
Oh.
Rounding the corner now, and gosh, look at them. They're stretched out for miles. Quite a hum coming from the polite conversation float. Oh, I can pick up snippets about the weather, renovations. Oh, and here we go, Jonathan. There it is, the Family Values float, led on by the Family Values bandwagon. And whoops-a-daisy, it nearly fell over there with all the politicians scrambling aboard.
And you can hear the spectators now warmly greeting the king and queen of the parade. And that's the only queen you'll find at this Mardi Gras.
Oh, and there they are, Milton and June Sprinkler Timer, king and queen of family values. Married 55 years, totally incompatible, but they stayed together, initially for the sake of the children, then for the sake of the front lawn, but largely out of habit.
Hypocrites still filing past there as we come to these straight and conventional childhood floats, which of course can be seen but not heard.
Oh dear, a young girl's just pushed her sister off the sibling rivalry float. If you'd like to see some traditional sibling rivalry, then why not visit the Family Values Expo when it comes to your city or regional centre? The Family Values Expo features the latest A.V. Jennings display family.
That's right, Andy. You can try out the interactive younger sister punching bags or spend some time with a completely non-interactive traditional father.
Be photographed with Mr. Muscle, Mr. Sheen and Mr. Anal Retentive. Or just lie back and think of England.
From shotgun weddings to debutante balls, from incest to teenage suicide and domestic violence, you'll find it all at the Family Values Expo.
Oh, and here comes the straight and conventional sex floats. There's the office manager float, moving in closely behind the pretty young personal assistant float. Oh, and isn't that interesting? What do you make of that one, Jonathan?
Yes, and it looks like a float covered in glad wrap with a rubber band around it.
I've got the program here. Oh, here it is. It's the uninformed sexual practices float.
Of course. Still to come in the straight and conventional sex parade, displays of adolescent fumbling, guilty longing and charades.
Crime prevention tips from policewomen dressed as prostitutes.
End-of-season shenanigans from footballers dressed as women.
And some lovely synchronised hand and eye work from the Frotters and Glances chapter of the combined Australian Loins Club. I'm sorry, that's Lions Clubs. But look, here it is, the jewel in the crown of traditional sexual relations. And listen to the crowd, yes, it's the marital relations float, itself inside the hermetically sealed marital bedroom chamber.
And all sponsored, of course, by Intact, Australia's leading manufacturer of prosthetic hymens. And this straight and conventional crowd becoming quite frisky now at the thought of natural acts being committed in the dark.
And on that high note, Jonathan, I'm afraid we'll have to say goodbye.
Oh.
Thank you all for joining us here today at Gossville for the first, and I'm sure not the last, straight and conventional Mardi Gras. Until next time, this is Andy Normal.
And Jonathan Even Normler saying,
Coat me in margarine and speak like Robert Menzies.
Well, there it is then. What did you think? I suspect John's wasting his time. Sacred cows are wondrously resilient animals and notoriously hard to kill. I mean, there's no point cutting their throat, for instance. Most of the time they do that themselves, without any appreciable damage to their sacredness, I might add. That's funny, isn't it, when you think about it? Anyway, that's my part done, so thanks for listening and all the best.
Yeah, thanks, Barry, that's all right.
Oh, thank you. How do you think it went?
Oh, mate, look, look, you're a legend, mate.
Yeah, thanks a million, Barry. It was great stuff. Terrific, thank you.
Oh, it was my pleasure, John. You know what I always say?
Yes, I know what you always say.
So much to laugh at, so little time. So how come there's a blank bit here, then?